Welcome everyone to another episode of the Warmup. I'm here with the guys. It's me, Chris Demands. We also got Reg, who has left the chat. He's also in the building. Then we have Kev RL. Say what's up to people who are tuning into this episode, guys.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, fam?
Cool. And if this is your first time rocking with us, this is a place where we talk about sports, current events, and things in between through the lens of Black culture. We're here on Wednesday now. It used to be Tuesday, but now we're here every Wednesday. So again, if you're tuning in, rocking with us, check us out on Wednesdays at YouTube or wherever you get your favorite podcast from, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, any of those things. Your favorite podcast, push them, man. Please go ahead and go there as well. Hit the like, follow, subscribe, do all those things. Give it 5 stars on the audio side of the podcast side of things, and on YouTube. Again, you gotta do all the ambiguous stuff, right? The liking and the subscribing and telling a friend and tell a friend, which is most important. You know what I mean? Because it helps people, get eyes on us, and then we get more likes, we get more views. Google, YouTube, whoever, be like, oh, these are the things that people want to hear, and it helps pushes us up and get new viewers. So check us out also on the social media side of things. We are on IG, we are on Twitter, we are on Reddit at GrindhouseNTWK, and then finally check us out in the Discord if you want to join the grassroots community at Discord. It is at Grindhouse Network. It's very searchable. It's like 2 words. So again, like I said, tell a friend, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And again, we're here every Wednesday. So anything else you guys want to add before we move on?
No.
Cool. All right, well, we'll jump right into these topics, man. The first thing we're gonna talk about, man, is a continuation of the only news coming out of Cleveland, essentially. Deshaun Watson, he got suspended. There was a mediator or arbitrator who was basically taking care of all the remediation about, how severe this punishment should be for Deshaun Watson. Should he sit out? Should he not sit out? Should he only sit out half a season? Blase blah. So, they did the official ruling, and they gave him 6 games. And, initially both sides said that they were not going to appeal. The NFL had 3 days to appeal. And guess what they did on the second day? They appealed. Because the NFL does things like this. It's kind of a kind of surprising. But then, we look at it, and then people would ask, like, well, why did they do this? Why did the NFL, why did Goodell choose to go and appeal this ruling here? And seek a harsher punishment. So this is what Goodell said. He said, because we've seen the evidence, she, being Robinson, was very clear about the evidence. She reinforced the evidence that there were multiple violations here, and they were egregious, and that it was a predatory behavior. And then he goes on to say stuff about how the NFL is responsible, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sure, whatever. So anyways, NFL, the most inconsistent deliverer of punishments in all of major sports, is now appealing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just throw this out to Reg, man. What is the NFL doing? Like is this even fair? Does it even make sense to even appeal, given their recent or extended history?
I don't think the NFL knows what this is doing right now, so I can't speak on what they're doing because they don't even know. But I'll say this: I think they had an idea in mind of what should happen. I think the goal or what they were seeking was 1 year, and maybe they were looking for something in between. Obviously, I think Deshaun Watson would have liked nothing, or his team, or the PA maybe more or less is a little bit hands off on it, but they would have advocated for something like 6. I think makes sense for them, and I understand both parties, but it just I don't know. Leading into it, if both parties knew there was a hard line that they weren't going to accept, whether that was 1 year for Deshaun Watson's party or less than 1 year for Roger Goodell, I didn't understand why making a strong statement of saying we will not appeal, right? Just leave it open, and whatever happens, happens, because you're just dragging something along that should be resolved sooner rather than later, just so all parties involved can kind of just be done with it. I think everybody's trying to, I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody, but I would imagine Deshaun Watson doesn't want this to drag on. People that were involved as victims don't want it to drag on. The former franchise doesn't want it to drag on. So I think they should come to a resolution. I think it's the right thing to do, to ask for more and advocate for more. I just wish it was a lot cleaner.
Yeah. Okay, Kev, man, what you got, man? What you think about this whole debacle?
And same thing like you said, they said they weren't going to appeal. You think it would be something that was accepted, but we knew right when she came to that decision, she didn't have the precedence to give more. We talked about how the NFL is inconsistent on the way they dish out penalties or disciplinary actions, where they're giving more to people who have done less, especially in this situation. So it's like, I don't know. For some reason, I'm not surprised, because I was watching the news and seeing what they were aiming for. And when the 6 came out, man, the internet blew up. Like, everybody was just like, that's not enough. That's crazy. Like, how can you only get 6? And I know the victims also feeling maybe a little slighted, maybe a little bit like they don't matter, or he matters more than them. So with all that and the NFL's reputation, I can see why they might want to put more disciplinary action in place, just to show their stance and show who they're rocking with, which is the safety of people, especially women who are violated by men in positions of power. So I think, especially with the judge or the arbitrator using those terms like egregious, predatory, which he quoted, and I think that was the ammunition. Getting those quotes out of her, based on the fact that she has experience judging these situations, it's like, that's a big bolster for them to say, okay, maybe we were a little bit iffy before, but now we're definite that this dude crossed many lines that deserve a little bit more punishment. So within their rights to do so, they exercised it, exercised that appeal.
Yeah.
Like Reg said, I wish it was a little bit cleaner. It's their fault. There's no precedent, honestly speaking. Yeah. So I guess this is the opportunity now to set the precedent with the appeal, and hopefully the next person that comes along and do something like this, there won't be no shady gray lines. You know you're gonna get a harsh penalty, either a year or more.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I think they're pushing for a year. Essentially, that's the side of the NFL. They wouldn't want to go for a year suspension. So I don't have a problem with, because all this is arbitrary. 6 months, six games, 3 games, 8 games, 12 games, a year. Sure, fine, whatever. I don't really care about how much time he gets or how much of a suspension he gets. I think this is basically the NFL making their own bed with all of the other fines that they've done or suspensions that they've done, especially when it comes to some of their league like the league faces, right? The ones that everyone knows. I mean, we all know the famous Big Ben Roethlisberger, who got the 6-game suspension, and or the Tom Brady. I mean, obviously this is a less criminal. This is more of a undermining of the game. But the whole cell phone thing and how he was allowed to carry out his suspension, which again, it doesn't make any sense. The famous, we just talked about it last episode too. Go check that out if you guys can. The owners, the Jim Irsay's and the Rob Snyder's and the Robert Kraft and the Jerry Jones. Like, yeah, these things have been settled out in court. They've been dismissed or something along those lines, to where he wasn't formally found guilty. Either of those parties were formally found guilty, and they somehow find a way to want to appeal. It doesn't make, like, I can't tell what's going on over there. It just really sounds very, just like everything else in the NFL, very arbitrary, very shooting from the hip. So you give one quarterback 6 games, you get another quarterback who gets 6 games out of mediation, and then you're not happy. And then the owners, let's just not even talk about the owners because they haven't even been touched yet. I think Jim Irsay had to go to a drunk driving, one of those traffic school situations where he has to go and sit in on that. So community service essentially. So I don't know. I don't know why are you wasting people's time? Now you just fine. If the owners I get it. Goodell he works for the owners. If the owners said you got to do it, he's probably going to do it. Or someone was in his ear and say, hey man, I don't like that. He should serve more. So, at the end of the day, it always comes like they're trying to gauge what the reaction is from the public, and then they make the decisions after. It's horrible. They need to get more clearly defined, rules and regulations about due process and how they handle behaviors on and off the field. But this sounds like it's a hot mess. Stop wasting people's time. This is dumb. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know if the victims will say it's dumb though. The victims probably appreciate the fact that they're appealing to give it more time. So I know for some they're like, this is not a waste of time. Probably was a waste of time with that six game sentence that we waited so long for.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like maybe, I don't know if they were not able to set this kind of, and they kind of did tell this is what they were looking from the judge. So I'm surprised they had to appeal to go back and say, hey, you remember we said we wanted a year to have to reiterate it. But I think a good point too that I didn't think about is like, what outside of, we know owners and how it looks for the league and all that, I wonder if they consulted staff, because masseuse, I don't think it's that far out of the realm, out of the kind of staff that they would normally work with, physical therapists, people who look at you, help you ice out during the game or rub different ailments. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, if that's someone that's in an adjacent field of you being treated in that kind of way, shape, or form, like, I don't know if there's like some kind of solidarity, like, yeah, we don't like that. I don't know if that's something that's been, interviews are done or some kind of surveying done that might have also affected that.
Yeah, in which I don't know. And honestly, again, this, to make it clear, it has nothing to do with the transgressions that Deshaun Watson has, particularly infringed upon with other people. I mean, he said it out of court. To us, public opinion is, yeah, you did it. You just kind of you wanted to go away. Yeah. So he did settle it out of court. So that's fine from a civil standpoint. But I'm just speaking more so about, like, obviously the NFL, their due process, how they want things to be handled, and even when you do get a suspension that is in line with what you've done in the past. Like, this is not even like they gave him 2 games and then NFL appeals and says it should be more. Like, that makes more sense. But 6 games is what you've been giving people. So why all of a sudden now you don't like 6 games is not good enough? So I mean, unless it was something. Oh, go ahead, Kev.
I'm gonna say some people also pointing out the number of victims involved. There's some people have pointed out the number of victims involved, and that's partially why he got 6, I think, too, as well. They said, okay, maybe 3 is what they normally would have gave, or what has happened in the past. But it's so many more people. Let me go ahead and double it.
Yeah.
But because the only 4 cases I think was presented to Robinson.
Oh, so she's not ruling over the whole matter. She's only ruling over the 4.
Yeah, those 4 were the ones that were brought forward were presented. So those other 20, I think it is, weren't used to make the case. Although we're aware of them, I don't think they were used as a presentation for making.
I mean, you can almost argue it, like, to a certain degree. You're almost running like a criminal enterprise there, like the sex trafficking or whatever you want to call it. Like, it was like the language the judge used. It was predatory. Like. It was like a system, like it was a pattern of abuse. So I don't know. We'll see how this ends up.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I said, this is just a really weird. It's the NFL. This is what the NFL does. I'm not surprised by it. I'm just more so it's just kind of like, the same Nick Young response, like, really? Like this like we're knocking on the appeal. 2 days later, the appeal has been filed.
They didn't like it, man. They didn't like it. But why didn't they attack his bank though? I was wondering. Like, there weren't any fines talked about. It's just about the suspensions, and I was wondering how come there weren't any discussions of fines or even.
I don't know.
Messing with his pay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything. Well, I do think that suspensions do come with fines, essentially. So I think they both are tied. I think actually that's how you attack that money, because you can't just take that money, but you can still play. Because then you play.
Yeah, either that's slavery. We don't want to go out there and play for free.
That's slavery.
But they're making it seem like he's still guaranteed that bucks, and he's still gonna get it.
Yeah, NCAA.
Yeah.
No, I think if you do get suspended though, like what Chris was saying, like the games that you're suspended affect your pay. So in that way, it's kind of tied 1-to-1.
Yeah.
So if you're suspended for a whole year, that's 1 whole year's worth of pay that you're not getting.
Yeah.
Do we know that? Do we know he's not getting that pay? Because I haven't seen that.
We could probably look into the suspensions, the impacts of suspensions, just the general rule book for NFL suspension.
I check and update you guys.
Yeah. I want to say that that's the case though, but I could be wrong. You know, things change, or my understanding of things can be skewed.
From what I read, that was my understanding too, but like I don't have a direct source or anything. So
yeah. So we'll find it for you, man. Anything else I want to add about brother Deshaun or brother Goodell?
Brother Goodell, he ain't invited to the cookout. Chill out.
Hey man, he made all these black people millionaires. You don't want to bring them to the cookout?
What happened to the Jay-Z thing? Is Jay-Z still? Is that? I don't know.
No. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll keep an eye on this, because this is gonna drag on at least until the beginning of the NFL season. I'm sure Deshaun Watson will like for that to go away, but nah, we here. So
Yep.
maybe put it on your Christmas wish list, but it ain't happening no time soon.
Do you want it to go away? Don't do it.
Hey, don't make it appear in the first place. So moving on to another player who was disgruntled in his by his employer, a little bit closer to home in the organization though. But Durant, you know, this guy requested a trade, and it's probably one of the biggest news come out of summer free agency. Like, not any of the free agency moves, the fact that him and Kyrie have basically just taken over all of the front line of the front page news. So if you haven't been keeping up with Kevin Durant, this dude wanted to get it traded because he's like, I don't like it here no more. He said, I don't like you guys, because you guys could give Kyrie his money, or it could have been a number of other things. But he still has 4 years left on his deal. And he wanted to go to his short list, very, very short list. 2 teams, Miami and Phoenix. That's coincidence. So, the trade market, the free agency market trade market for him is not that great, considering Rudy Gobert got, a lot in return. And, by comparison, if that's the market, that Kevin Durant should deserve more in return. It makes sense. But the issue is that the teams that he wanted to go to and the demands that they're asking for ain't the ones willing to give up. So, yeah, so now it's a strange conundrum. So now he goes back to the Brooklyn's office and he talks to the owner, Joe Tsai, and management, as you would say. And they came out of there with a what they call a addendum, amendment to his demands. Is either trade me, or you can keep me and fire Steve Kerr and also GM Sean Marks. And so far, Joe has said that he fully supports his Nets staff, which, translation, we don't know what we're gonna do yet. But we heard you. So the question, man, look, is what's the right move for the Nets, man? Is it the right move to get rid of KD and maintain your front office, or should you just go ahead and make Steve Kerr and Sean Marks the fall guy to keep your guy? Cash, what you think?
It's a big question, man. I don't know if either of those are the right move, but given the ultimatum, the right move would be to keep Durant. I think hands down, you want him on your team. But giving into his demands like this, the way he's just throwing it out there, after like a couple months, a month and a half of us trying to shop you around, and I was like, oh well, there's an option. There's another option, and I'll throw it out there. Get rid of these guys. I don't really like that move. I don't really like the fact that he threw it in there. It feels a bit petty. It feels a bit whiny. It feels a whole host of things. You know what I mean? Very, very diva-ish. Very just weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you had problems, we could have been discussing these problems the whole time. You know what I mean? What the issue is with Matt? What the issue is with Sean Marks? What's the strategy? What do you want to see us going forward? That could have been what's on the table, but you said, nah, trade me. Then we can't get you traded. Now it's like, oh well, you know what? Get rid of these guys, then you can keep me. I think if you played a little bit differently, I'd have been more inclined to be on his side. But right now, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna jump because you said jump. Like, it don't work that way. You don't run this organization. You don't got the credentials to run this organization. You don't have the view to run this organization. You are not a manager or GM or owner of any capacity. When you get your own ship, you captain that. But right now, we need you on the court playing basketball with who we surrounded you by, which is pretty good players. You know what I mean? And you've asked for some things that you've gotten that you haven't really utilized. And I'm still a little sour about how Celtics was able to shut him down so easily to sweep them.
A sweep, not even one game.
Not even one game. Like, that got me really hot because, man, you were this great player. And people are even saying right now, any team he goes on will be an instant contender. And I'm like, hold up. Are you sure about that? Because this dude got shut out. And if he's the one that's going to be the person to raise your team to the next level, and he's able to be shut out, I don't know what that says. We haven't really seen him carry a team by himself just yet. We knew how he got his rings and how he got his titles. We're not going to go there. So it's like, you haven't proven yourself to be an individual star to take the team to the next level. So, man, I was already annoyed by the fact that he even requested a trade after your boy opted into his contract. Like, y'all two not on the same page. Y'all just winding up here. You want to just get rid of staff when it's just like on an ultimatum type position, not like, here's what I didn't like about Nash, here's what I didn't like about Marks. Can we manage that? Nah, get rid of them. I don't like it.
Yeah. Reg.
I think that was an excellent take. I'll say this. If I had to choose to answer the original question, if I had to choose between the two, I'll also say, get rid of them guys, man. You can get another GM. You can get another coach. He's a first-time coach. He hasn't proven himself to be great. Like, if that's the deal you have to make in your head just on paper, get rid of those two guys. I don't know the GM that well in his history. And obviously, that GM was a part of what we have today. So maybe that's not the worst thing in the world to get rid of that GM, right? He was the GM that oversaw this whole debacle. And I don't know if he was also there during the run that they had when they had got the big three from the Celtics, or at least KG and Paul Pierce. I don't remember how long this guy's been GM, but they haven't really done that. I like the progress they've made over time and how they've always been around, but he hasn't taken them to that next level. If that's the same guy. But I also have to agree with what you were saying. Like, if you let KD make all the shots now, the next guy is gonna come in expecting the same thing. Like, where does it stop? Like, he can't be the GM, he can't be the coach, he can't be Bill Belichick, GM, coach, and player Bill Russell. He can't do everything. And you haven't done it on the court. Like, you have one job on the court and you got swept. You gotta address that first. That's a great point that you made. Like, you gotta not get swept in the first round before you start being like, I want to do all these other hats. You got, LeBron put in the work. Like, I make the comments about how much sway he has, but when he needed to get 50 points against Golden State, even though they ended up getting swept, but like when he needed to, he stepped it up every single time, year after year, to get that level of influence he has now. So I also agree with that assessment, but I think KD's a great player and I think he can take them to the next level. I would like to say, I would say out of this scenario, I know it was in the question, what I would like to see, or what I would have liked to see, I'll agree with you is here as well, is if at the end of last season, you do a postmortem, you come to the table, what is your issue with Kevin Nash? How can we address it?
Kevin
is there
Nash.
Kevin Big Diesel, Steve Nash. Steve Nash, could you have maybe lobbied to get like a senior assistant coach, like maybe a retired coach or somebody we haven't seen in a while, come in as an assistant coach and kind of help give experience to the inexperienced, but let this guy come in with fresh ideas? Could you talk to the GM and say, hey, this is why I'm unhappy with you. I would like more input here. Like you said, just come to the table as a big boy and then put your head down and put in the work next season. I still don't think it's too late for that. I think at this point, maybe just accept that you're not going to trade and those guys can stay and just make it work. I think that would be the best thing for his career. If he just made it work this season, that would be the best thing for him. It would be the best thing for the organization. His legacy too. So
yeah. Actually, all that stuff is true, man. I ain't gonna ask to add. I'm just gonna be out here like, yeah. Sean Mark's been there since 2016. So, take with that what you will. They've been successful with him as GM. It ain't his fault that you got swept. It ain't his fault that, James Harden got a hamstring issue and he quit on y'all. It's not his fault that Kyrie ankle got rolled and then he wanted to practice his religious freedoms. It's not his fault. Like, he gave you the best. He gave you what you wanted, essentially.
That's it. Yep.
You didn't have anything to say about Steve Nash before, Kyrie got there, or 2 years ago when you guys went to the conference finals or semifinals and lost to the Bucks. You didn't have anything to say about that. I don't. Yeah, the best option is for everyone to stay put. I don't know how easy it would be to replace a coach. There are a lot of good candidates, but it's August.
Yeah. It's late in the game.
Come on, man. It's so late. Why are you bringing this up? No, you're trying to put me against the wall right now.
Why would you even want to be on a team with a brand new coach and GM at the last second versus one? I would rather have a coach and a GM I don't think is successful than trying at the last second in the middle of the season just pull somebody up out of the booster. All the quality candidates are probably already pulled into being an assistant coach or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even the retired ones, you still have to come in and get acclimated and understand the roster, come up with a game plan, execute it, run training camp. You already missed summer league, so there's a lot that does he not understand what coaches need to do? They don't go to sleep.
No, which is why it's crazy he's trying to make these decisions. He doesn't know maybe he saw winning time and he's like, man, they got a coach in the middle of the season and got the chip. So maybe I too can do it.
I hope not.
I will ask some questions here on the other side. You mentioned a couple things with Kyrie. If you knew that maybe he expressed it and maybe he didn't express it, but if he did express that he was trying to explore these certain things, could the GM have kind of stepped in here and said, hey, you know what? Let's pair you with some other people, whether it's Enes Kanter or Kareem or other people who have had to been in this position where they understand the schedule and what you'll need to do to be able to fast or whatever you need to do and still be able to be efficient. Help him, get him a coach or somebody to help him get through that. Or when he was kind of a little bit scattered on what he wanted to do in terms of certain things going on in the world, did they pair him with maybe therapist or maybe say, hey, I understand that we need you on the court, but what if we partner and let you focus on basketball and let us know some of the initiatives and how we could drive that for you? We could put somebody on these projects so you could feel like you're focused, you're helping out, but you can still focus on basketball. These are things that as a GM maybe he could have done. Even with the whole vaccine mandate, and everything that was going on, maybe they could have not went hardline and said, no, we don't want no part-time players.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have just done whatever it needed to be done to make the team have the best chance. So they're not paying from behind and having to win from play-ins and then having to, at the last second try and congeal and win against the Celtics in the first round. Like, maybe these are valid criticisms.
Possible, yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't dismiss those things. That was a soft, hard line that he took, by the way. It was hard until it wasn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think all those are valid criticisms, man. And I'm with you on taking that route to make things work with what we have and finding a solution for the problems as opposed to sweeping them away or throwing them aside. So I'm with that. Could he have done that? Sure thing. Retrospect, is all 2020. So I don't know. Kyrie's a different beast. He seems to be on his own drum. Beat to his
we
own
knew
drum
that.
sometimes.
We knew that.
Yeah.
He left Cleveland. He left LeBron James.
He left Cleveland and said, "I want my own team." When he knew that LeBron was leaving, so he could have his own team.
Yeah,
He
could have had his own. He could have had his own team in Cleveland. So you already knew that, and you figured like I could control this. That had to be in the mindset. Like, these are the chances, but I think I, as the GM, can navigate this ship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Now, granted, I get it. Like, Steve Nash is probably not the most experienced coach, but that's who they picked. And again, that's why I say he never said anything about that until now. My thing is that, again, that's not, I don't know if that's like the ideal way to handle your grievances, your being disgruntled. Like, if you have an issue about coaching, why don't you say, hey, let me have my input in on coaching direction, so they're like, I can give you my feedback on what I think, and whatever happens or whatever. Like, there's multiple ways to kind of attack this situation. I'm sure he was very well aware of Kyrie's situation, and even if he wasn't, he didn't say anything about it all season. And the thing is that at the end of the day, like, that's your boy. You're gonna always back him publicly. You don't want to say anything because you don't want the media to, play with it and fondle it in any kind of way that's going to make you feel like, oh, look at the media, just doing media stuff. Like, you don't want to say anything and you don't want to have a position, so we assume that you were kind of with him because you got y'all are buddies. But at the end of the day, like, that's your guy. So you can't get mad like, oh, it's like us all being on the same team, and we all said we're gonna be on the same team together. But then, like, you decide you wanted to become, Muslim, or you want to do something. You want to try acting. So, like, you taking your time away from basketball because you want to act. And I'm out here, like, not saying anything publicly, but then I'm going to leave because you opt into your next year, your next year deal, whatever. And then, like, saying, well, I need better players. I need to fire the coach too, by the way. Like, it's like, you knew everything, all this stuff is in-house. You already know all this stuff. So I don't even know what he's looking for. Like, I think that's
the biggest thing. What are you even looking for?
I mean, in his defense, maybe he's just not the walk and chew gum type of person. Like, we haven't seen him, like, LeBron he wants to be an actor, he want to be producer, he want to get his team on, and they're gonna be businessmen, and they want to go over here, and he want to be a social activist, and he want to have a shoe deal. We don't really see that from KD. Maybe all this stuff was going on in his head in basketball, but maybe his way that he operates, the way he navigates the world is, I can't control that. I'm gonna go out here and do what I can do, which is, like, we talk about it. He doesn't seem like, he just seems like I want to play ball.
Yeah.
He's not like over here like, oh, these are the schemes. He's like, nah, I just want to hoop. I want to knock down the shots. I want to just focus on being the best individual player I could be. And then, like, maybe off season comes and he just looks at, damn, I just got swept. Yeah. There's ego that comes into it. And then you just like, you shaking the table in the off season, because that's now all those things finally hit, because the way you navigate the world is basketball. And now when you can sit here and think about it, you're having all these thoughts at once, and that's why it just seems so scattered. Yeah, that could be it.
You better process that thing before you come in and talking about it.
That's what you get a team for. That's why you should have an agent and all that other kind of stuff. But
yeah, so So, real quick, man. I know we talked about this from the organizational standpoint, or what the best option is, but in a grander scope, man, how does this going to impact, or does it impact the future NBA or future CBA talks, negotiation? I mean, we've been on the same CBA since 2012 almost, and we've seen a lot of players kind of have these kind of demands. We've already heard Adam Silver say he don't really like this, how this is playing out with demanding the trades with 4 years left in your contract and all that stuff. Just signing an extension in the previous year, kind of holding the team hostage to some degree. Do you think this and other situations are going to kind of impact negatively for the players' future CBA negotiations?
Did he say it in that detail, Adam Silver? Or are you just talking about the initial statement when they asked him and he just said he doesn't like to see that?
Yeah, just in general, he said that the initial statement, yeah.
So that one is kind of hard to read. I don't know if he's just being given a very political answer, but it's kind of open-ended. And one way you can interpret that is, hey, if somebody just signed a large contract for a lot of money for a certain amount of years, and they demand a trade, you could just be saying like, I don't like to see that. Mm-hmm. And that could mean a lot of things. It could mean like, I don't like it for the reasons that you said, but it could also mean like, I would not like to see a player demand it. Like if you committed to something, you would like to see that the organization met you to make you happy. It's like such an open-ended statement. On what side of the fence is he falling on it? Yeah. We put our context onto it to say, oh, he doesn't like it for the reasons that you said, but maybe he could also be pointing out like, we hate to see that somebody signed up to work for this organization and then be so disgruntled right away.
Okay, so let me.
That could be the other angle that he was coming from.
Yeah. So this is one thing that he mentioned, man. He gave a whole statement, but one of the things he said in his statement was, it's one of those issues that as we move into the collective bargaining cycle, which we are just beginning now, we intend to discuss with our Players Association and see if there are remedies for this. Again, as I said, it will never be the case when players won't be unhappy in certain situations, but we don't want to see it playing out the way it is now. Okay. So I mean,
great point. So I think that kind of indicates that what you said then, like you take into the Ben Simmons that just happened, you take into KD, you take in. It seems like that's kind of a line, and they will have to discuss it to have something that's feasible for both sides.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it sucks is if you're a Nets player right now, you're probably like, what? Your head's probably spinning. Like Ben Simmons is here, but he's not playing. Harden was here for a second, he's gone. Your Steph Curry just got traded there. Like your head's probably just spinning. Like so much is going on. Like it has to suck for a player. Sucks for the franchise, sucks for the coach, sucks for the GM.
Yeah.
And it sucks for the person requesting the trade too, probably. So
yeah. I mean, it sucks for them to a lesser degree. I mean, you still get paid.
Yeah. Exactly. That's
you
the thing.
Still get paid. Yeah. We love to have options, but sometimes like if you didn't have an option, you would just be like, well, you know what it is, I'm gonna stick it out and do it the best I can with the situation.
Yeah, but
that's what you would like to see.
Yeah.
But I'm saying because there's an option, you're gonna be like, I have this option. I'm gonna exercise it. Like I'm not happy, leave. I can just hold this whole thing hostage. It's another option. Where if it was like back in the days type of way, it's just like when the contract is up, I'm out of here. But whatever, I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
Yeah. Yeah. So you gotta
take a quote. Let's take a quick quote from Adam Silver. He said teams provide enormous security and guarantees to players, and the expectation is in return they will meet their end of the bargain. That's not happening.
Yeah, commitment.
This is wild, dude. Like we giving you all these guarantees, all this security, where we're just out there, like head of the block, and being held hostage and being pushed around and being given ultimatums. Man, I don't like ultimatums. Period. If you have a debate, if you have something with someone and they give you an ultimatum, I'm pretty sure that's gonna sour your relationship quick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like that's not how we resolve anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's like, dude.
If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But an ultimatum, I agree. I think you just made a really good point because at the end of the day, the money's already allocated.
Yep.
Like on their books, it's going to your account. I've never seen an NBA player say, "Oh, the check bounced, or it didn't come in on time." Exactly. Right? They get salary cap, like they're salary capped. Mm-hmm. like there's the money's already settled. Like all the commitments they made to you on paper, like the hard commitments, like the soft stuff, like you get input. That one's a little bit more gray area. Like what does input mean on a contract? We hear you, but we don't necessarily got to do what you. That soft stuff, I don't know, but the hard stuff is you're gonna get this much money over this much time. Is gonna be guaranteed whether you get injured or not. All those commitments, I've never seen a player say, "Oh, you know what? I got injured and they shelved me," or they didn't pay me out.
Yep.
I've never heard any of these disputes. You hear all this kind of stuff on the NFL. People are disgruntled because they don't have the same guarantees. So I have to agree with that statement right there. You got to have a certain level of commitment, whether you're happy or not happy. A lot of people are unhappy, but they got to clock in because they know they got rent to pay, they got kids to feed. Like,
yeah. Be unhappy and get paid until you can find a better situation. That's what we do.
To a degree, you control you control your situation.
Yeah.
What is your unhappiness? Is your happiness? Can anybody else fix your unhappiness?
No, we can't. And don't make it sound like he's out there in a bad situation. The dude have this
Irving as a running.
Irvin. Yeah. He got Ben Simmons. Although he's shaky, but and then surrounded by O'Neal, TJ Warren, Patty Mills, Nick Claxton, Joe Harris. Like I ain't got no sympathy for you, dude. Like you some garbage team. You on a team that's a contender. In fact, books had y'all as to be taking the whole of the East. So don't come out here as though you have this trash team. Marks, the GM, put together this trash team, and he's garbage. And look what this garbage he gave you to work with. Nah, I ain't hearing none of that noise.
Yeah.
He gave you a lot to work with. You can't work it.
Yeah.
Was Harris injured last year?
Oh, last year, yeah.
Man, he was such a big piece when they were doing well. Like they have a chance, man. Like
so, yeah.
I think I didn't lean so much into the criticism with like he went to go ring chase and went to the Warriors, but you got to take a good chance, bro. At some point, if people are saying you're the best basketball player in the world, if you got like a 60, 70, and Vegas is giving you way higher than that. If you got like a 60% chance to win the NBA championship in the situation you're in, you're like, oh, I don't want it. I want a 90% chance. Like you kind of like, I can't even defend you at that point. Like you really are just ring chasing. Like you really just want the guarantee. Like I want the easy win.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Point. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead. No, I ain't got nothing else.
This last quick point. He still has not played a full season for them. Like, he still only has played 90 games out of a potential. How many? I don't know how many games. The dude played 55 last year and 35 the year before. 3 seasons, but the other season he was out.
One season completely off, but you have to count that, right?
Yeah.
So 82 games off top, right? And then another, well, I don't know if it was a shortened season, but around 82 games off top.
Mm-hmm. And then 35.
Out of another 82, so that's what 164.
He played 55,
and then that's another 82. That's what, like 146 or something like that.
I mean
246.
Yeah, you should play like 58 games to even be considered in like the.
Damn, bro. Come on, man.
You yourself haven't been on the court long enough to actually make the situation work. So
yeah, and it's not your fault, and we can't finger point at you, but at the same time, you gotta have that same attitude. It's not Steve Nash's fault. You can't finger point at him. It's not the GM fault. You can't finger point at him. So a lot has been going on with all of us.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts. On paper, best thing ever. The paper was a little bit dirty. Like it was a little bit crumpled. You know what I mean? So we gotta put in the work, man.
Yeah.
I think put in the honest effort, and you're gonna have the trolls that like if you put in the honest effort and it doesn't work, you'll be like ha ha. But I think real basketball fans, you put in the honest effort and it doesn't work out, you still will have that respect. You're still gonna be a Hall of Fame player at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have a great legacy. But you're hurting it right now. Yeah,
no, definitely. All that stuff I 100% agree with. So I did want to bring this question up because you did mention that. You said Reggie said he's arguably one of the best players in the game. Is he even top 2 anymore? Considering everything.
Healthy.
He's a healthy number 2.
Ooh. Just because it sucks with basketball because you have to take into like height and stuff because you obviously will put people like Curry and whatnot up there. Jokic is great, MVP. Embiid is great, MVP. LeBron James is great, MVP quality player, even though he hasn't gotten the MVP in a couple years. I would say just because of the consistency's sake, regardless of what's going on, and people will clown, oh, they didn't make it to the playoffs. LeBron is still up there, bro. To me, just because in and out, yeah, he might have discrepancies, but he handles it different than KD does, right? So for me, LeBron number one, and unfortunately, you know, Embiid has not health, but you know, gets injured here and there. It just unlucky timing on the injuries. Jokic, not himself getting injured, but the teammates being injured. He's been unlucky with that. But when you just watch the game, Giannis is up there too. Giannis might be number two.
Okay, all right.
Because he almost took the Celtics without Chris Middleton.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
And he could have done it too, man. Could have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have. That's the thing. Yeah. It's not even like he could have done it.
Yeah, it wasn't far-reaching at all.
Okay.
So to me, you could say, for me, I'll say LeBron number one just because of the consistency. I understand he's on the downward slope. So it's like the king is like, people are knocking on the door trying to knock the king off the hill. I have to say LeBron's still up there just because of that. And then you have a lot of people who are really close. You could say Giannis. I think just because he relies a little bit more on athleticism, I just like KD. But I can see you can make an argument for Giannis, or you can make an argument for Jokic. I don't know. I like him. I don't know what it is that wouldn't put me like as close as you know Giannis would be, but you could put him and Jokic and Embiid up there too. The rest of the landscape, I can't really see somebody
like Steph.
That would. It's just because of that. It's unfair, but like he can't hold nobody down. He's not gonna lock nobody down.
Who, Steph? Yeah, no, he's not. But neither is KD.
KD's not like a lockdown defender, but because of his height and length, he's more formidable on both sides of the floor.
True.
So that's why I just put it that way. It sucks, but that's just the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's fair.
So you got Giannis number two, LeBron number one, and then after that it's like it's murky.
Even with the Giannis situation, like, depending on how KD turns this around, is close.
But as of now, to date, 2022.
If you're talking about based on what's going on right now, I can see why. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, all right. You believe in that?
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it.
I'm knocking down some pegs. That shutout totally like changed my view. I didn't see an adjustment from him. I didn't see a way for him to elevate his game. It was just high dribble after high dribble and steal after steal and bad shot after bad shot.
Not high dribble.
Yeah, it was a bad. It was a bad shot. Okay, hold on. You're saying that right now, right? And I would have been in the same boat as you, saying these same comments when Giannis got knocked out by the Heat, and they just formed the wall, and he couldn't figure it out, and then he finally figured it out.
Figured it out.
Yeah. So KD was doing a high level for a while. Like, he ended up foot on the line. So we had him up there for a while. It was a very poor showing last season. The points you just brought up. Are we knocking him down just because it was more recent?
Yes. Okay. Recency bias.
As long as we acknowledge.
Hey, LeBron was in contender for scoring title, and his other stats were just where they always were. 6, 7 assists and rebounds.
That's why I say he's number one. He gotta be number one.
And his scoring title was right there.
AD can't stay healthy. They trade away all their pieces. Westbrook ain't show up. Like, he still got his numbers.
Yeah.
Still trying to carry that.
You gotta put him at number one for that.
Yeah. So, and for me, it's not a recency bias. He had Kyrie and he had Seth Curry on that team healthy.
Yeah.
The last year, it was just him and the one-legged James Harden, overweight James Harden, and yeah, at that time, yeah, he had a great performance. This year, same staff, nothing changed. He just got.
Better stuff, I would argue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the floor it was better, but like, he still has Steve Nash, still has Sean Marks. So, so I don't know, man. Yeah, I argue that all the time. A lot of people who just still love Kevin Durant like to keep him at number two. number
But
one.
that's what I'm
Talented,
saying. Like, I
super
think it was
talented player.
I think it was a poor showing, but like if you just look at if you erase last year and just recall like just like you said, Harden was one-legged out there and all that kind of stuff. That don't just disappear in one season.
Yeah.
It was a bad showing, so that is recency bias. You're putting a lot of weight on last year.
Well, yeah. As new data points come in, we adjust, right? I mean,
But there's outliers, Chris. This is an outlier.
so last
It's not outlier. It's not. I mean, it is from the
KD getting swept.
But what he was doing was what he tries to do. His on-court leadership and ability to adjust. We haven't seen it.
Yep.
Like, let's be honest, we haven't really seen that.
Absolutely.
So
Technically great player in terms of court, because we always talked about LeBron, as great as he was athletic, they always say, oh, the court vision, the court vision, the way he sees the floor, the way he breaks down the game, his defense, everything he's doing. We always talk about that. KD is just technically the way, like if you look at the shot, it's beautiful, the consistency of the shot, all these things going on. But in terms of like controlling, and we even talked about this when he was on the Warriors, he's not somebody who's gonna, when he goes to the ball, when the ball finally comes to him, it's like, all right, KD, we need a bucket.
Yeah.
He's not driving things. He's not moving things. And that's why it was so beautiful for him on the Warriors when you watch him play. It's like you got bomb, Steph can hit it. Clay can hit it. Draymond might do something. All this going on, and then if all those fails, get a ball to KD, he gonna get you that bucket.
Best system he ever played in.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Should have never left. Should have never left.
Oh man.
Hasn't been the same since.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So yeah, we'll continue to see this unravel, the Brooklyn Nets, how they handle this. Obviously, this is lingering on, just like the Deshaun Watson situation. So hopefully, we find a good resolution, at least a indefinite one until it becomes definite. I guess the definite is that he's still with the Nets. They ain't firing no one yet. So,
Kyrie should file an appeal. That's what should happen. I appeal the contract. I'm unsigned.
So yeah, man, let's go ahead and wrap it up, man, right there, man. Reg, you got anything that you want to say in the sign off, man?
Nah, thanks everybody for rocking with us. I know we switched over to Wednesdays. Just stick with us. We gonna get this thing right. Like, follow, subscribe, engage with us. We're posting. We doing things. We gonna try and be more active in some of the forums we've been flipping on. And just thanks for rocking with us. That's it.
Cool. Okay, you got anything?
Yeah, appreciate y'all, as usual. We have other things you can do with your time, so we appreciate when you spend it with us. How the quote goes, complaining about a problem without providing a solution is just whining. Katie, stop whining. Find a solution. You know what I mean? Oppose a solution. People can't be firing coaches and GMs.
That's the solution.
At the 11, that's the solution.
Be the solution.
Chris, if that's the solution, who do you suggest we refill them with, Mr. KD? What's your suggestion?
Kyrie should be coach.
Don't be whining out there, man. Don't be whining out there. You know what I'm saying? Just do what you do. Play the game. You're surrounded by good peoples, man. Get it done. Let's see y'all have a full season of actually playing. You still haven't gotten that yet, so the experiment is not over.
Yeah.
At least from where I'm sitting. So I would like to see the experiment play out. And with that said, man, that's all I got for y'all, man. I appreciate y'all.
Cool. And let us know, people who are listening to us, you the viewer, you the listener. Let us know what you think about Deshaun Watson, the NFL, Roger Goodell, all that, man. What should be the proper punishment for said aggression? Also, man, Kevin Durant. Tell us what you think about Kevin Durant and his demands, holding the ship captive, and who they should replace Sean Marks and Steve Nash with, because apparently I have a feeling it's gonna be DeAndre Jordan and Kyrie Irving. So KD mama gonna coach.
You the real MVP.
So but let us know how you feel about it, man. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, hit the notification bell, 5 stars on all the podcasts, and follow on all the podcast platforms that you are currently listening to us to. And again, we're here every Wednesday, so until next Wednesdays, guys, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. So deuces.
Peace.